Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kristen Welker at a pivotal and unsettling moment in modern American history as investigators are searching for the person who assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Americans are grappling with the terrifying rise in political violence, and as elected leaders face questions about their own safety and the inflammatory rhetoric that has become part of our political discourse. So first, the latest on the investigation, the FBI releasing these photos, you see them there, of what it calls a person of interest in yesterday's fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Authorities say they've made a number of breakthroughs in the search for who shot and killed the 31-year-old father and Trump ally, seen here interacting with the crowd just moments before the shooting. Police have recovered the weapon believed to have been used, a high-powered bolt-action rifle, as well as the suspected shooter's footprint and imprints from his palm and forearm. Investigators also say they've been able to track the suspect before and after the shooting. Listen.
After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads. We will not stand for what happened yesterday. We are exhausting every lead. We have every officer invested in this, every investigator, every local agency. We are investing everything we have into this, and we will catch this individual.
Now, officials say FBI Director Kash Patel is on his way right now to Orem. That's where yesterday's shooting took place. They will hold a news conference once he arrives. The White House, meanwhile, has been deeply shaken by Charlie Kirk's killing. Officials telling NBC News that President Trump was briefed in real time yesterday and met with top aides in the Oval Office, while others monitored developments from the Situation Room. Today, the president, who first announced Kirk's death on social media yesterday, calling him a patriot and saying today he would posthumously honor his friend and confidant.
Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Now, Charlie Kirk's killing comes nearly a year to the day after the second assassination attempt of President Trump. The trial for the man charged in that attack began this week, and political violence has only escalated in the last 12 months. U.S. Capitol Police say that agents are on track to work through roughly 14,000 cases of threats made to members, their families, and staff by the end of the year. That breaks down to more than one case every hour, every day of the year, and dwarfs the number of cases it has handled in any of the previous 8 years. Leaders from both parties condemned yesterday's shooting with a mix of mourning, frustration, and anger. And starting us off today, NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson joining me from Orem, Utah. Also with me, NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter, as well as Jim Kavanaugh, retired ATF special agent in charge, and now an NBC News law enforcement analyst. Thank you all for being here on yet another somber day. Steve, you are there in Orem. Walk us through what investigators are saying about the focus of their efforts right now.
Well, I think we have to start off with something that you mentioned, Kristen, which is that news conference, which was scheduled for now more than an hour ago and then rescheduled and pushed ahead because of what was described as rapid developments in the case. Now that has been indefinitely postponed until a later date, one we don't know. This sort of times out with the fact that the FBI director, as you mentioned as well, on the ground. It may be something that he wants to personally announce himself, although they say he's in an assistant role, but it may be a major break in the case. We simply don't know yet. In the meantime, obviously, this investigation now focused on the tangible evidence that's on the ground. That weapon, a high-powered, high-powered bolt-action assault rifle recovered in a wooded area somewhere close to campus, and obviously impressions of footprints and handprints taken nearby. This is key for a number of reasons. Obviously, they can sweep it for prints. They can track the purchase history. There's a lot of investigative resources that they can use now that they have that rifle, but it also fits into a timeline that we know investigators are building now. Placing that person of interest on campus at about 11:52 yesterday, that is minutes before that shooting took place. We know that person of interest, according to authorities, took a staircase up to that student center, believed to be about 200 yards from that vantage point where that fatal, tragic shot took place. We now also know that authorities saying the person of interest leapt off of the roof and escaped through campus to a nearby neighborhood. There's a lot of investigative attention on this neighborhood, obviously because people have Ring cameras, might be able to tell investigators something, may have some piece of evidence or witness something in that neighborhood. And as a byproduct of that, obviously there's a lot of combing for audio, for video, for images, anything that could help them with their investigation and help them get that information to the public so the public can assist with the information. It's part of the reason why there is now a $100,000 reward from the FBI alongside of those images of what police and FBI agents believe is that person of interest, a person with a baseball cap, the jeans, what appears to be a hoodie with an emblem emblazoned on it. They say this is the person that they are looking for, and they're, of course, not afraid to reach out to the public for help and assistance in this case. That's where we stand, Kristen, but a lot more hopefully to say a little bit later on today, Kristen.
Yeah, authorities, they're urging anyone with information about the man on your screen just there to contact them, let them know where or what type of information you may have about his whereabouts. Steve, let me ask you about Vice President J.D. Vance traveling to Utah today to meet with Charlie Kirk's family and friends. We know that they were friends. The vice president has been writing about his relationship with Charlie Kirk, his grief right now, his grief for his family. What can you tell us about that trip?
Yeah, obviously, J.D. Vance very close with Charlie Kirk, as you, of course, have reported. The family's very close as well. As we know, J.D. Vance is in the Salt Lake City area, has met with the family, will be, if not already has been, to the medical examiner's office. They are there to receive the body of Charlie Kirk alongside, again, Charlie Kirk's family, including his wife, who is supposed to escort the body along with J.D. Vance onto Air Force Two, where it will be returned to his family there in Arizona. So a tragic, somber, again, another tragic, somber day with now the family meeting, obviously, with members of the White House. Kristen.
Yeah, it is just incredibly tragic. You're absolutely right. Steve Patterson, thank you for your reporting on the ground there. Please let us know if there are any developments come. Let me turn to you. You've been working your law enforcement sources. How close are investigators to finding a suspect? And of course, it does come against the backdrop of FBI Director Kash Patel making his way to Orem.
That's right, Kristen. So what we know, at least at this hour, is that there has not been an arrest made as of this moment. Excuse me, but officials have definitely said that they believe that there have been additional developments in the case and that it is progressing forward. To Steve's point, to go a little bit deeper into the evidence here, they have a palm print, they have a footwear print, which is basically just whatever the imprint of the shoe this individual had. They have a forearm print. They obviously have the weapon, which is helpful, and the ability to trace that weapon back to its original owner. Perhaps it is the shooter. They have video of this individual. So they have a lot, and that's just what they briefed us on at 9 a.m. So you can be sure between now and then they've developed some additional clues into this individual who fired. You're looking there at a map of what officials have described as where this person fired from. They even apparently have video of him jumping off of that roof onto the ground to be able to leave the scene after he fires that single shot at Charlie Kirk from a high-powered bolt-action rifle, the type of weapon that somebody would use to do this. They'd have to have some proficiency. It's 200 yards, but it is the type of shot that you could use here. So, look, this investigation is going to be complex going forward. Obviously, the priority is finding the person who did this.
Absolutely. The very highest priority, Tom. There's no doubt about that. And yesterday was somewhat confusing because we learned that first there was someone in custody, then that person had been released, then there was a second person in custody. What can you tell us about the two people who were questioned and then released, and authorities still looking for the person behind this?
Yeah, there were several names that were circulating among law enforcement yesterday as individuals that police were initially looking for. All those, as they describe it, washed out. It just means that they looked at those names, they looked into those individuals. Those are obviously not the people that they're looking for. Two of them, one was seen on social media video being taken into custody there at the scene. That's somebody that apparently Utah law enforcement officials are quite familiar with. Is described by some reports as a gadfly, as others as a criminal and interfering in protests. That individual faces a local obstruction of justice charges, no connection to the shooting, according to law enforcement officials. And then a second person was interrogated, but that person apparently had nothing to do with it either. Officials, we're not going to make lives worse for them. Officials did put those names out publicly last night because those people had received threats, even though they were never officially named suspects. So a bit of a challenging moment here in this investigation, and speaks to the moment and the kind of the hothouse atmosphere that we have on social media of certainly people looking for justice, understandably people hoping for arrests in this case.
Yeah, part of the backdrop to the current climate in which we find ourselves. Tom Winter, thank you so much for your reporting. And of course, once that news conference starts, we will bring it to you live. Jim Cavanaugh, let me head over to you and pick up where Tom left off. We got this post from FBI Director Kash Patel yesterday saying basically that the shooter was in custody, only to announce a short time later that actually the person who had been taken into custody had been released and they were still searching for the shooter. How unusual is that?
Well, it's a flub, really. It's a mistake. Washington doesn't need to be making those announcements over the on-scene command. And whenever you're in a big case like this, Kristen, you're going to have a lot of people that come up that really look like they're the killer. The suspects come up fast and quick, and they're on your board. You know, in a D.C. sniper case, I could look up from the command desk and see 8 names on our board. And on every one of those names, I would have an agent or a detective pounding on my desk swearing that was the D.C. sniper. And, you know, because we had a lot of little evidence that made him look like that. But we had to prove, well, that's not the guy. You know, we put a surveillance on him, and then when we'd have a killing, we'd realize, well, this guy was in bed, so it's not him. So you get a lot of names like that, and you talk to people like that, and they're persons of interest, which was, you know, a phrase coined by Attorney General John Ashcroft after the Richard Jewell case. I was on that bombing case in Birmingham. So because of Richard Jewell, when they went to the anthrax case in Washington, they dubbed the person a person of interest. That turned out to be the wrong person as well. But so persons of interest can also be witnesses. But what's important today is major breaks in the case. So if you're in command of this case, major breaks. The rifle, major breaks. You can get fingerprints, DNA, hair, and you can trace the weapon. Even the towel that's around the weapon that was reported can be full of sweat DNA. So that's a great breakthrough. The images are also very, very good. But one thing about just analyze these images, as a commander, if I was shown those 2 images, I'd say the first thing that's striking about them is it's absolutely a disguise. I mean, this is absolutely a disguise. Well, you have these wraparound sunglasses, the hat. You have this shirt with an American flag with an eagle. You know, Charlie Kirk was wearing a shirt that said freedom. His crowd is very, very patriotic. You know, they're very patriotic, his followers and his crowd. This is a killer trying to blend in. I would read that shirt as a part of the disguise. And from these 2 images, I don't think you can be sure that this is a man or a woman. It's a very slight build here, lanky, the way the person's fists are positioned. Now, that's just all we have. The authorities have video of the person running and other video, and they may be able to tell absolutely from the gait and the other video that this is a male. But I'm just saying from a commander standpoint, you never just assume that's a male because you could be thrown off the whole trail of the killer.
Jim,
so you have to look at what you have.
Just very quickly, Jim, how critical are these next 24 hours, given that 2 people were taken into custody and released? And as far as we know, authorities don't have anyone in custody yet. I mean, how critical are these next several hours?
I think they're probably going to get a breakthrough fast. It's key to find the weapon, Kristen. That is really the treasure trove of information that they need. That connects the projectile that went through Mr. Kirk. They can match it to the rifle, the caliber at least. Maybe this lands and grooves in the barrel, and they can connect that weapon, most likely be able to connect it to some person. Now they just got to get some names, some tips. I think it's this guy. I think it's this person. I think it's her. Well, then they can check. They got a palm print. They'll have DNA. They connect that rifle to someone. They got a murder case.
All right, Jim Kavanaugh, thank you so very much for your insights. We really appreciate it. I'm joined now by the mayor of Orem, Utah, David Young. Mayor Young, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I want to extend my condolences for the loss of life in your city. I think it's fair to say the nation is mourning today. And I want to ask, because I know this impacted so many people who were there to listen to Charlie Kirk speak. I've spoken to some of them. I know their hearts are broken right now. How is your city holding up?
It's difficult. I mean, this is something we've never encountered before. Orem's been here for 105 years, 106 years, and we've just never had anything like this. So this is completely foreign to our nature and how we live. I've talked to a number of the people who were at the event too, and they're not okay. I mean, to see somebody murdered right in front of your face is just, they're not okay.
That was my sense from talking to witnesses yesterday, just the realization of the ripple effects that yesterday's assassination will have in the coming days, weeks, and frankly, years to come. And obviously there is this intense manhunt right now for whoever is responsible for this horrific act. What are you telling your residents right now, Mayor Young, as authorities search for this shooter?
I mean, obviously to be cautious. We don't know who's out there, and we don't even know if they're even here anymore. I mean, this was obviously very targeted. It wasn't like a mass shooting where this person, if you want to call him that, was shooting crowds and all that sort of thing. It was very deliberate, very targeted. It was very against Charlie Kirk. And so with that in mind, I think people are going on with their normal lives because, it's not like he's walking up and down streets shooting people, that sort of thing. So things are going on, but there's a big sense of sorrow. There's a big sense of loss. There's a big frustration about why was this person allowed to come into our community and do this? Because this is not who we are. This is not, we don't even have murders around here. I mean, we're a city of 100,000 people and it's very safe. People are very kind, very giving, just very happy in general. So to have this inflicted on us, we're working through that.
And Charlie Kirk was there because he was doing what he does, which he was having a spirited debate with college students. He was trying to get young people engaged in political discourse. Maybe you disagreed with him. Maybe you agreed with him. We should say that as we're having this conversation, Mayor, we are looking at images of Vice President J.D. Vance arriving in Utah on Air Force Two to meet with the Kirk family. But what do you think the impact of this horrific event will be on what is really the cornerstone of our democracy, those political debates? Right.
No, I mean, I'm obviously concerned about that. I mean, even from a standpoint of, they do these events outdoors. They get big crowds. There's a lot of excitement. I mean, that's the way we've had events since the beginning of time, right? And it just, I don't want to see that go away. I don't want to see that stifled because, in my opinion, that's the goal of whoever did this, is to stifle that communication and that free speech and that discussion, that conversation. So anything that, I don't want this to turn into a situation that stifles that. I think that's really important for our country to have that and that communication. And as Charlie Kirk himself said, I mean, without communication, things fall apart.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we will leave it with the words of Charlie Kirk. Mayor David Young, thank you so very much for joining us. And again, our thoughts are with your entire community. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.